with you. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow. There is no tomorrow.
What it do, nephew? It's your Uncle Lou. And I'm coming at you with something. I don't even want to do this damn intro. All right. Was about to wrap this up, but I seen a video coming in from that boy, Kenny Beecham. He's starting to get into that echelon of the people that I trust, one of the talking heads that I trust as far as his takes, never really unbiased. But Karl-Anthony Towns just got traded. All right, Karl-Anthony Towns just got traded. Now, I've been called this trade months ago. I said Karl-Anthony Towns for Julius Randle would make both teams significantly better, but I don't really have nobody to talk to. So here's my reaction to Kenny Beecham reacting to the trade.
Buster, y'all. The Knicks have acquired Karl-Anthony Towns from Minnesota for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo on the first-round pick. What the heck? What is going on with September 27th?
Damn.
September 27th.
DiVincenzo.
2023 is when Damian Lillard got traded to the Bucks. And now a year later, we see another blockbuster deal dealing with some star players. I mean, Karl-Anthony Towns just made an All-NBA team, 2 years ago? And Julius Randle just made an All-NBA team, last year? So we see two All-NBA players get traded for each other.
The Knicks should have waited.
It's weird that you see a talent-for-talent deal. This is not necessarily a talent-for-talent deal. This is like the business of it all, the financial implications of building a really good team. It just became a little bit too stressful for Minnesota. But
Ooh, the Knicks.
I feel bad for Karl-Anthony Towns, right? A couple minutes before the trade broke, he tweeted ... We really didn't know what that meant. And then, boom, the first sham wows that we calling them of the offseason is him getting traded away. And we basically just watched Karl-Anthony Towns grow up in Minnesota. It will be weird to see him in the Knicks jersey.
What you mean? I got Ant-Man.
Super high potential star as a rookie with these big ass feet and super clumsy, and he turns himself to an All-NBA caliber player. And one of my favorite things about Cat is that after last season of him and Rudy Gobert not really working out, this year he bought in defensively and they were able to coexist. And again, the team was as successful as any time in their franchise, and he gets shipped out. Yeah, think about all of the different integrations that Karl-Anthony Towns has been through in Minnesota. Like, they've gone through management changes, coaching changes. He's gone through so very much. A rebuild when it's him and Wiggins. They acquired Jimmy Butler. The Jimmy Butler thing don't work out. Another rebuild behind that. They get the first overall pick, Anthony Edwards.
That's crazy.
They have 1 year of contention before ownership says, damn, we got to trade him away. And I somewhat feel vindicated in a way because I said that it was inevitable that they were going to have to make this decision.
Exactly, yeah.
Because the team was so...
But they were so close to the damn season.
Now, personally, if I was the billionaire owner, hopefully in the future, when my team that I own just goes on the most successful run basically in franchise history, I am okay with the team being hella expensive for a chance to run it back one more time. When we see how good or how much better Anthony Edwards has got every single year of his career, if we kept the same roster and just...
Now, Julius Randle fits what Minnesota's trying to do a little bit better. Cat is great, but he needs to bang down low. Julius Randle kind of does the same thing, but Cat, he just wants to shoot fucking threes all day. And Drew just want to shoot step backs.
Potentially won a championship.
But when they both attack it...
that no matter who was owning this goddamn team, they were not going to pay for this team. I said in the video that Karl-Anthony Towns will probably be traded. Anthony Edwards, max contract. You're not trading him away. Rudy Gobert, max contract. You're not trading him away. He's one of the best defensive players in basketball, and you traded every first-round pick in existence to get him. You're not trading him away. Jaden McDaniels signed an extension last offseason that hits this year. Now, his re-signing extension is a small extension for his value, but the last guy that leaves is Karl-Anthony Towns. So, though I hate that it's happening, I told people to brace themselves because it will be happening eventually. There are just certain management groups and ownership groups that will, just make necessary moves to save some money. And this is what it is. Obviously, it has nothing to do with the amount of talent on the roster. This team was the 2 seed this season that made it as far as you could
they needed to do this.
With a team like this. And they shift Karl-Anthony Towns to New York. Now, he's going from a contender to a contender. So, I'm going to be honest with you. I love his fit in New York. We made a video about the Knicks last week, but that was before we knew that Mitchell Robinson was going to be out, not just for the start of the season, but he might not be back until January. And that left a huge, huge hole for this team when it comes to the center position. It's like, okay,
You might as well trade Mitchell
let's
Robinson
say,
now.
Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Julius Randle, and let's say Jericho Sims as the spot 5. And then Tom Thibodeau said that Julius Randle should play some 5 for 10 to 15 minutes. I'm like, okay, I like the idea of that small ball lineup. And now you shore up that center position by bringing in Karl-Anthony Towns. And based on what we've seen from Karl-Anthony Towns from this season, he can run your 5 position, right, for them for the start of the season. Then when Mitch Rob come back, Cat can slide back up. We watched him guard Kevin Durant in the playoff series. We've watched him slide to the floor and hold his own on both sides of the ball last season, right? So this gives them a little bit more flexibility. One thing to say about Leon Rose, and I've seen Knicks fans and Timberwolves fans pissed about this trade. Leon Rose he's going for it.
Why are they
with
pissed?
The Mikal Bridges trade, and then now with this one, they are going for the New York Knicks to be.
I just don't like they traded DiVincenzo.
It does suck that you have to trade away Dante DiVincenzo. You lose that connection, that Nova connection, because he's going to Minnesota. But
he's going to Minnesota too. Hold on, Minnesota got DiVincenzo and Randle. They needed to go deeper at the guards. Randle fits exactly what they're trying to do, though, man. Like, he's a better ball handler kind of dude. Like, when he's attacking, going to the hole, 20 and 10 easy. But when he's sitting there, step back.
What's next for Julius Randle? Again, Tom Thibodeau in this interview said that Julius Randle is ready to adjust to whatever the team needs. What the team didn't need is ass, and they traded him away for Karl-Anthony Towns. ESPN is on their stuff. They updated this immediately. So this is the projected starting lineup for the Knicks this season. It is Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, Josh Hart at the 4.
That's a solid 5.
6'4" rebounder. Karl-Anthony Towns. Mitchell Robinson out with his injury. That does hurt that depth because I thought DiVincenzo coming off the phenomenal for them because he's a 40% three-point shooter.
He would have won 6 man.
Point guard Miles McBride. Backup shooting guard is kind of non-existent, but all of these guys kind of coexist and play the same position / different positions. So you probably will see minutes where it is, I don't know, Keita Bates Diop playing up. And then, you know what I'm saying? They did sacrifice some depth for this trade.
Damn,
I think it makes sense.
The Knicks having to trade DiVincenzo, I'm not even gonna lie, is probably gonna be the factor that hurts them in this part.
In scheme of things. And we talked about the Minnesota Timberwolves.
DiVincenzo is nice.
Team.
I need him in
there. Right in that as well with the OG Anunoby extension.
Maybe we can work that out.
Jalen Brunson is the most selfless star in basketball. He left that 100 M's on the table. But I wonder, and I'm sure some cap nerds, and I don't mean that as a derogatory thing, are going to write the article about what happens with Mikal Bridges this offseason with his, or was it this offseason, next offseason, regardless, with his money be coming up. Because in my mind, when Jalen Brunson left that money on the table, most of that was going to Mikal, but now you're fitted in the 8th most expensive player in basketball to that lineup. So I don't know what's going on with the Knicks cap flexibility. I don't think that's really relevant. I don't think Rose really give a damn right now. They have an owner that I guess at this point is willing to pay, and this is the best Knicks roster that we've seen, or I've seen in my lifetime. I was born in the 90s, so maybe not in the lifetime, but like in my adult life, by far the best Knicks team. And I can't say that it's the perfect trade, but I understand what they're going for. I understand what they're going for because Karl-Anthony Towns, again, gives you the versatility to run him at the 4 or the 5, but because of the defense of Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby, and Josh Hart, you feel okay if he is your 5, even though previous years in his career, the reason they traded for Rudy Gobert in Minnesota is because him at the 5 had a very limited ceiling defensively. I think that this is a team where we can have
in the
him,
garden, though,
just be better at that 5 position.
With Brunson.
I don't love trading away Dante DiVincenzo. Like, I'm okay if the Julius Randle part of it because it did feel like he was the odd man out, right? I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt coming into the season that he'll be able, like Thibodeau said, to change his game accordingly, to fit with these dudes, yada, yada, yada. But him being traded away doesn't hurt me too bad. It was a Dante DiVincenzo piece, especially considering the type of postseason run he had with him hitting basically game-winning shots and having 30-point games and so on and so forth. You shift him away, and that just kind of sucks, right? The Villanova thing lasted all of 2 months? when did they acquire Mikal Bridges? Like 2 months ago, right? And it lasted then. I mean, they still have Josh Hart and Mikal Bridges and all of that, but yeah, it's a little bit tougher. I like this a lot less for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I'll be honest with you. The Karl-Anthony Towns Rudy Gobert fit took a while. It took a year.
Dang.
Even when it being good, it was still clunky at times. Julius Randle is not nearly the offensive talent and as versatile as Karl-Anthony Towns and malleable as Karl-Anthony Towns. So you're telling me that him and Rudy Gobert as a front court, We got to see it on court. Obviously, we got to see it on court.
I beg to differ. I actually think Julius Randle Nas Reed lineup is more lethal than the Julius Randle Rudy Gobert lineup that he's thinking about.
I do not like that. Really, I just don't. I just don't like it on paper.
Defensively, no, but it's more up and down
Anthony
pace.
Edwards, Jaden McDaniels, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Nas Reed off the bench,
Damn,
Vincenzo off the bench, Nikhil
they
Alexander
are
off the
deep.
bench. Like this trade
at
does
the guard
depth, right? Because they get two good basketball players. Because like pretty much everybody on the second unit I trust, even Joe Ingles being super old, he had this really great connection. Rudy Gobert, what was
they're
that?
deep
7
at the
years ago, it feels
guards.
like. So I trust him as a pick and roll ball handler, Rudy Gobert. And then he did sneakily shoot very well from three again last season in his limited amount of minutes. Nikhil Alexander-Walker had a breakout year. So, like, there are some things here depth-wise that could be very interesting. This does give them an opportunity to maybe have Leonard Miller play more minutes, and I'm intrigued by Leonard Miller as a player. But overall, this feels very clunky. And you're really, and I mean really, really trusting that the three-point shooting that Jaden McDaniels provided last season is real. I mean, last year... last year wasn't the year. It was 2 years ago he was a 40% three-point shooter. This year was 33%. In the postseason, he played a little bit higher than that, or a lot higher than that, at a 43% clip in his 16 games in the postseason.
A new EOS Fitness is
43 is crazy. I thought this was clickbait when I was scrolling through. I'm not even gonna lie. I seen Cat, bro, because I been said this crap.
Because if his three-point shot is real, knowing Julius Randle as a player, this court completely shrinks up for Anthony Edwards, and this is years removed, right? So I don't want to bring this back up, but I remember when they get Rudy Gobert on the team, he talked about the lack of spacing, right? He made a comment about the lack of spacing, and Karl-Anthony Towns is arguably the greatest three-point shooting big ever. Arguably, I ain't saying I got love for Dirk here, but arguably the greatest three-point shooting big of all time. That is spacing, and not only is he a great three-point shooter, he's a respected three-point shooter, because I think those two things are what makes somebody amazing at that job, right? There are a lot of people that shoot 36 to 40% that aren't respected as shooters, right? All their shots are completely wide open. They're not being guarded. Karl-Anthony Towns is guarded all the time, and that's the spacing that he provides. Julius Randle doesn't have that same luxury. 31% three-point shooter, a guy that wants the ball to dribble and create for himself. Karl-Anthony Towns was quicking off of it a lot of times, and sometimes he's just letting a lot of...
Again, I'm gonna have to disagree. I think what Minnesota's trying to do, I think Minnesota's trying to play more of an up and down pace. And with Karl-Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert together, you can't really do that. Especially Gobert's like, he's kind of clunky up and down. But when you can go to the small ball lineup. You can have Randall in there. It's a lot, man. I beg to differ.
Random turnovers, but they have to change so much about their...
I'm not saying they're going to be way better.
Trading for Julius Randle. And
I think they'll match up better.
The owners got a little bit too frugal, because Julius Randle was on the last year of his deal. He's got a player option for next season. Who knows if he takes that? Donte DiVincenzo's on the team, friendly deal. Again, Karl-Anthony Towns is one of the more expensive contracts in basketball. So it's like we save a little bit more money for the now and also for the future, depending on what Julius Randle does with that player option.
Damn, Cat's gonna do good in New York though, man.
And maybe I'll be swayed once we
back
see
to
it
playing
together,
the five like he's supposed to.
This is just a lot of
the Joel Embiid versus Cat rivalry gonna be nice.
And Jaden McDaniels' three-point shot and more responsibility.
JoJo killing him
for
though.
Anthony Edwards. Like one thing that Julius Randle does provide is like this jumbo playmaking four, which it could be intriguing because Mike Conley is 99 years old, and then the backup point guard Rob Dillingham is 17 years old. So like having Julius Randle be like a primary ball handler / facilitator for the team could be interesting, but the lack of space, like this team became infinitely more easy to guard. Their defensive identity doesn't shift much other than Julius Randle having moments in time where he's not completely locked into the defensive side of the ball. Well, I just saw Karl-Anthony Towns really do that for an 82-game season and then the postseason as well. This just, for me, personally turned the Minnesota Timberwolves from real contenders to not that. And I hate that for them. Minnesota fans deserve more than a year of contention, dog.
Yeah,
and
no
they could
cap.
still win a bunch of regular season games. Do not get me wrong. I still believe this team should win a bunch of regular season games. But when it comes to a 7-game series, I think you can scheme against them so much easier.
Damn, Cat is
Towns had
such
a track record of being a bad postseason player, especially after the one season when Jimmy Butler was on the team, and then last year as well. This year, the conversation shifted. Like, it's not like we're like, oh my God, he's the greatest postseason player of all time. But we had really, really good moments in his postseason last year. Julius Randle has 0 of those.
Yeah.
Julius Randle's one of the worst playoff performers we've ever seen for a star player.
Yeah.
The sample size ain't that large.
But
I just don't like it, man. And it's the frugalness of the ownership, and I think that's just a plague on the league. I like an owner that's willing to go balls to the wall. We're gonna pay off. Steve Ballmer, say what you want about the Clippers teams, his ass is gonna pay. He is willing to pay. It ain't worked out, but I can respect that man as an owner because he's like, how much money you need? Say less. Second apron, not a problem to me. Minnesota did not like that, and the best trade they got was for Julius Randle. Funny enough, if you didn't know me, I'm also an internet general manager, which means that I make trades on 2K all damn day. I did a trade very similar to this in the 2K video very recently. And I didn't have Dante DiVincenzo in the trade.
yeah,
So
well,
it
I
was
wouldn't.
really an L for Minnesota. But I don't know, man. I don't love it for Minnesota. I think this is a worthy bet for the Knicks. It does eliminate some of their depth for sure. For sure eliminate some of their depth. But I think they're...
And that's what's gonna kill the damn Knicks. The depth is what made them good.
Offensive upside just increased by a ton with this one singular trade. Their defense, again, I trust Cat a little bit more this year than I did 2 years ago. I don't know if they're still going to maintain being a top 5 defense like they had the potential to with Mitchell Robinson on that back end. But the offense should be disgusting, and I mean that in a positive way. I don't know if there's any other moves or any other things to talk about with this trade, at least as of right now. I can't wait to see what training camp really holds. Shout out to Big Cat. He's going to be fine in New York, I promise.
Yeah, he's going to do good.
We'll see what happens with Minnesota.
I'm Colin Farrell, and I play Oz Cobb.
Hey, Colin Farrell, shut the heck up. Nephew, man, I could talk about basketball all day. All day. But just to give a quick, brief rundown of what I think. Well, I pretty much said it throughout the whole time. I've called this trade before, like I said once before. But I think Karl-Anthony Towns, I think the Knicks made a good trade except for the fact DiVincenzo. DiVincenzo was the spark for them. Especially, I think, moving him to the bench role and then having him come off the bench, just being a free scorer, doing whatever. Like, he was going to be a 6th man of the year contender for sure. He's definitely going to do good in Minnesota, but he be getting tossed around to different teams, man. Might as well just end up in a, 305, And for Minnesota, I think Julius Randle will fit in Minnesota a bit better. He's kind of a ball stopper, but what he does have well is he can, when he gets to the glass and he gets it going, he's one of the better double-double machines in the league as far as getting to the free throw line and finishing and doing stuff like that. And then DiVincenzo being there in Minnesota, making them deeper at the guards with Conley, DiVincenzo, Alexander Walker, and then, you got Dillingham coming in as a rookie. And, of course, Anthony Edwards, it just definitely increases that depth for them. So it definitely should be exciting. And then New York's depth is just, that's what's going to kill them. Because we know playoff injuries is what destroyed them last year. And not having that depth that you thought going into that, you never know what can happen going into, April, May. So. All right, nephew. With that being said, this is your uncle, and we talk about hoops. If you ain't playing for the Heat, then it's you.